Alright, welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, a fresh best of 3 underway right now. This is Copa America Group D action, and the winner of this will move on to the winners portion of the brackets here today to fight along, or not alongside, but I guess rather against Cats, who's lying in wait. For now, they're spotting here in the top right corner of the map from IVD Gaming. Ivy Drip, it is the pink Zerg player Phog.
In the bottom left, as the orange Protoss, it is EG's HUK.
Alright, so HUK, I don't know, it's not, I don't know how to describe this. Like, he's never really been too consistent, I would say, as far as, like, one particular matchup goes. It feels like, as we've cast him over the last couple years through StarCraft2 through various qualifiers, like, if he's good with versus Z that 1 week, he is going to nail it. He's going to 2-0 everybody nonstop. But that seems to change whether it's, like, PvP's a specialty, PvT's a specialty, or PvZ. I can't say that anything's going to be going precisely according to plan, because HUK does play PvZ a little bit differently than most. In fact, I'm just trying to remember a time I've ever seen him open with a Stargate into the Phoenix typical Colossus build. He is a guy who loves his gateway units. He's really good with his Blink Stalkers. And we'll see what Phog can do to deal with that.
Well, we'll see what Phog can do against a cannon rush. It's right, it's good old-fashioned cheese.
He's going to use the ledge over here. This is so cool.
Yep. And what's also pretty cool is that he has hidden it. Now, of course, this means that, you know, if it fails, your wall really isn't there, but it's such a, you know, a high possibility they just won't scout this. They'll see that there wasn't anything at the front of your natural and assume that you gateway expanded.
This
they
is so
won't
cool.
even check.
I like what HUK did beyond this, too. Like, he made it look like if Phog was watching that Overlord, as far as he's concerned, HUK went to the main with that probe, and he's setting something up over there. Now a little bit worried, he comes out with a drone, he's going to try and see this, but a lot of people have been wondering, like, can you reach this with a power field? Can this pylon power the other side of the map? And the answer is an absolute yes, guys. As long as it's the same terrain level, not uphill versus downhill, that's all that matters. So, we got the cannon protected by 3 pylons. HUK's probably going to have to cancel 1 or 2 of these. Obviously, you don't want all of them to go up. It's a huge waste of money, but he only really needs about 2 cannons here to be set in his way.
Yeah, cancels the 2 pylons that were protecting the cannon. Really, Phog didn't dedicate a whole lot to trying to end this. I mean, sometimes we get, like, drones going down, but he just cancels this hatchery and builds it somewhere else. Now, that might be an okay thing if they're, you know, it's sometimes called a mistake if the cannons don't finish exactly as the hatchery does. But there's also the possibility that HUK just, like, cannons the 3rd, too.
That's what I was going to say was happening. I'm surprised he let that go down, because the nice thing about this 3rd is there's a lot of space behind it, once again, where you can choke off terrain, you can build a pylon, you can block lings out. But at the same time for HUK, you know, back at home, he canceled the cannons, he threw down the Nexus, he's got his own cannon coming up at home as well as a wall off potentially, and this base, while not exactly the craziest, most exposed base he could have taken, is still going to be pretty susceptible to possible warp-ins. And oh my god, those lings left. Oh my god, he didn't see that coming.
No.
The Overlord sees us though. But HUK can throw down 1 pylon, he's still got enough room there for a cannon, I believe. I've not seen anyone cannon this base, so I don't know 100%, but HUK has got surface area on his favor, I think. Yep.
Yeah, he tested it. You can see him testing a little bit right there. Cannon still fits back there too, so Phog, I mean, these lings will eventually break down the pylons, but not before the cannon is up and ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that there's only enough surface area for 1 ling. I can't believe that's the case. I thought there was another one like you could have squeezed in there, but the south pylon may go down first, and if that's the case, this cannon will be in a little bit of trouble. For HUK, I think he's getting ready to start mineral walking though. See him clicking with that probe all over the place. He even helps kill the pylon.
Okay, the lings sit on top of the cannon, so it really won't do that much damage.
Yeah, the cannon's gonna get shut down here pretty nicely. There's a lot of lings to play with. Not only on top of this, so like, Phog's only at 2 hatcheries, and HUK is forced to make a ton of lings. He's still making more lings. He's just gonna go for Zergling all in. I don't know. HUK can just fully wall this off, and he can do about 2 or 3 more layers of it. If that Cyber Core completes and he starts crowing out a Mothership Core, he's set.
Yeah. He throws down a 2nd cannon as well, so he knows that something's up. Like, he's not, you know, Phog's not trying to go for another hatch off to the other 3rd or something like that. And now, of course, there's a confirmation. There's a lot of lings, a lot of speedlings that are on 2 more cannons. Oh, that's a Baneling. What the? When did he get a Baneling nest? Oh my god.
I don't know, but goes for the attempted bust here. Of course, that first wall goes down pretty quickly. Second wall might also fall. Goes for a couple cannons. Let's go for some kills. Couldn't quite fully wall that off. This 2nd cannon not powered right now, so this is huge.
Oh my god,
the Baneling on top of the probes. Destruction!
Whoa.
Chaos! It all ensues right now and the cannon goes down. HUK is in so much trouble, and I think Phog actually is going to make this work.
If there was any way that he could block off his ramp to the main, maybe he still holds, because he's still up in probes. It's 19-13, but without that, it's not going to happen. Oh my god, Phog does it!
Phog with a really vicious counterattack. The biggest thing there, of course, was the banelings. I think for HUK, you got to consider, too, a Terran player, they expect banelings 9 times out of 10, right? A Protoss player never sees banelings because of sentries. But there were no sentries out. The Cybercore wasn't done. And HUK did some really good restructuring, but I think he was also convinced that was just strictly going to be a Ling all-in and not banelings. So, well played out of Phog. I got to give him that one.
That was an excellent choice. You just assume so much that you don't really think about sending a probe back into the main, especially if their speedling's already out.
Right, and I mean, even that second cannon, I really wish that... Okay, so that cannon rush at the third couldn't have happened sooner because the Lings were guarding, and that was really nice that he waited for it to go, but I'm wondering if dedicating too much, even not minerals or resources, but like attention over there is what could possibly help that too, because if the probe had been, say, in the main, scouted a baneling nest, if it had been anywhere else rather than at that third, maybe HUK would have seen that coming or such. I don't know.
Well, he had to see the baneling nest. That was literally the difference. He saw that there were no drones at the natural, quote unquote, but so he knew that it wasn't all in. He just didn't, like, you know, 2 cannons and a wall can take the Ling all in, but not a baneling all in.
Well, we're in the lobby for the next map, guys. Habitation Station. And neither of these guys are Terrans, so they can't lift off to the gold.
Sorry. But they can take the gold. In fact, a Zerg player can take both golds.
I have a story about that, actually, but we're going to hop into the map intros and see you guys in a sec. Okay, so, you know how every time, we'll do introductions in a moment, guys, but you know how every time we're at a habitation station, and someone goes for the gold, I'm sitting there going like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, he's going for the gold?
Mm-hmm.
I'll have you know, Illusion did it, and I didn't even freak out, not in the slightest. This was yesterday during IEM, of course. You'd be so proud of me? You would have been so proud of me. But alright, ladies and gentlemen, back in action here. This is game number 2 in this best of 3. Currently leading, though, 1-0 at the moment. Spawning here in the top left corner of the map, it is IVD Gaming's Phog.
Never right. As the orange Protoss, it is EG's HUK.
Alright, so I kind of feel like this is the same thing, the same mentality, quote-unquote, with what happened to Cats. Like, where Cats went for a 10 pool and got a failed game 1 off the back end of that. HUK chose to go for a bit of cheese and failed off the back end of that. This time playing it a little bit straighter right off the back. Throws down the gateway, goes for probably the expand. I mean, I feel that while aggression and cheese is nice, and sometimes, quite frankly, more often than not, it probably gets you a quick, cheap win. It is one of those things where you dedicate a lot to it early on, and HUK felt the wrath of that towards the end of that game. Now for game number 2 on Habitation Station, this is a funny map where golds have really influenced the way the game gets played out, but Phog has always struck me as that player who goes for the third, say, to the south rather than the gold, and HUK's not really the player to take it at their natural either. Or as his natural, rather.
Yeah. Well, this is interesting.
Yeah, the delayed cannons potentially coming out.
I don't know if it's a delayed cannon rush.
Yeah, it is.
Although, yeah, you're right, it is.
Get owned in your face, zombie grub! Actually, to explain this, guys, real quick, jokes aside, this is something, if you've watched Stardust in the past, through both ladder play and tournament runs, this is something he's done. The delayed cannons can still do damage. And the thing that's nice is, your Cybercore doesn't get delayed because of this.
But look at this Overlord. It was like, fool me once, I'm gonna actually check your gateway. It's a gateway, but there's a forge behind it.
Psych!
Wow, that drone is stuck.
Yeah, that's what kind of sucks there. With the other one coming down behind it, it's like
just
insult
start attacking.
injury.
Attack it.
I like that he canceled the other cannon. You only need 2 cannons, guys. That's like the magic number to stop this. And this time's up pretty perfectly. Hatchery's forced to complete here. Back at home for HUK. Starts that Cyber Core right away. And this was the... I like the gold base over here for Phog. This was kind of one of those desperation moves. But it's one that might end up paying off.
I thought HUK was going to cannon rush that for sure. But decided not to go into its extra minerals. Delayed your Zealot, delayed your Cybernetics Core. Doesn't want to do that.
Man, I just... Every time I see cannon rushes, I still think back to Daedalus Point. When that map was brand new and that was like... The cool cannon rushes where you'd have the proxy forge and the pylon because you needed to make that extra surface area.
I might have seen that in a game only once. Like, I heard about it and I saw screenshots. But I think I only ever was in a game and saw it once. And maybe not that. Maybe I'm imagining it.
Some group confirmed casual.
Confirmed Terran casual. Doesn't care about.
Should have just been like confirmed Terran, like just period. Like there you have it. Alright, this probe does get taken out. Really nice pick off there out of Phog, so no cannon's gonna come down over here. But back at home, Zealots are made, looking to counterattack. Not really a potential. And,
whoa, a 3-gate? What?
Oh, is he really gonna do stuff on base? This is so mean.
Is this Wings of Liberty? What the hell?
But you know what? Hang on. Look at this. Look at this perfect warping location. Protected by 2 cannons.
That is so true.
This makes a lot of sense to go for this. Now, I do hope he'll try and expand behind this. I mean, there's no reason to bank up. He's not producing a ton of Zealots, but he sends that probe out to start well off the front, I guess. I mean,
I guess so.
I don't like that. Like 3 gating, 4 gating, fine, but don't do it off of 1 base. Like that's what makes it the Wings of Liberty like haha move.
Yeah, yeah. In Wings of Liberty, guys, you're either 3 gating or you're 4 gating. 3 gate expanding or 4 gating. That was like the 2 decisions you had in PvZ. But
well,
or early
or
Wings of Liberty, I should say. Yeah, before Forge expand. So like really early Wings of Liberty, really early. But these Lings are going to come in here, and they're not going to see a wall, which is kind of odd, because even though it did Gateway expand, usually by now they would have some type of...
Well, might have to go for the cancel. Of course, he can't really rush down here with the Zealots. He could take on a good chunk of those Lings, but without the Mothership Core, the Force Field potentially missing the ramp. This is dangerous. Phog is cranking out Roaches behind this. A cancel goes down. This is not a bad start for him. Off at the back end of a canceled hatchery over here. Or not canceled, but killed.
Yeah. Gateway is about to finish, or Warp Gate, rather, is about to finish. Mothership Core was scouting, I suppose, trying to harass the drone line a little bit. Comes back, trying to deal with the Lings. +1, might as well use that Forge. Overlord comes in, but, I mean... You saw the 2 gateways, plus the one that you originally saw.
Well, the Overlord...
What he's really searching for here.
He sees all 3 now at this point.
Well, he confirmed it already with the Lings.
I guess just hoping that there wasn't like a Dark Shrine or something really cheesy behind it.
That's, you know what, that might be, like, legit. Even though that was a lot of gas to tech to Twilight Council and then Dark Templars. I mean, wouldn't put it past him. He also got Roaches pretty early on, knowing that this was something that could happen, as the pylon is still there with the cannons.
But
and
look
that's
at this.
A great warping point.
Look at this potential push. I mean, even with those Roaches out, usually use the Sentries to zone away the Roaches. In this instance, of course, they're going to use to box them in, so they have to fight the Zealots. And, I mean, for Phog, there's no speed on these Roaches either. They're going to be awkward, they're going to be slow. I think a lair is probably not even on his mind right now.
Suppose not. The Mothership Core is a great scouting tool until something that hits it comes out. Which is going to take a while. So he just parks it over the Zelnaga.
Yeah, tier 1 air units. Woo!
Oh, Zerg, woo! Okay.
Well, yeah, I guess the Overlord, but the Overlord can attack. I think that is. I'm just gonna call it like as a non-Protoss, non-Zerg player. I think Overlord should be able to attack.
Just like womp with like their lobster claws.
Well, that or like they get these tendril things, like, or even just like a suicide.
Like a jellyfish sting.
Yeah. How are they not poisonous? They're Zerg, right? All right. We got a couple good force fields here. This is gonna lock in those Roaches as predicted, but that's a lot more behind this. HUK's got a recall if necessary. He may.
Yeah, he's gonna recall. He's got a recall. Those little Lings. Oh, he's gonna leave? Really? Oh, wow, there's no speed on those Roaches. They're pretty slow.
Yeah, if he can just walk away, it's better than wasting a recall. Maybe pop down a time warp if absolutely worst case scenario. But Immortals being cranked out behind this. We don't have any additional weapon upgrades coming out, so he's just sticking on the +1 for the time being. Was really expecting to see Blink come out here real fast, because I mean it's HUK and Stalkers, Blink Stalkers specifically, just kind of synonymous in my mind.
Couldn't quite afford to do that with this specific scenario. I believe he saw the roaches as well with the cannons that were finally cleared up, by the way. The natural is being retaken by Phog. So we knew that, relying on Blink Stalkers on kind of a crippled economy might not be the best thing. Rather go for the Sentry and the Immortals. Plus, if he wants to go for some type of like a mortal push, I don't think it's going to be an all-in. He could.
The Toy Council, I'm pretty sure, is specifically made for upgrades more so than anything else. It's just...
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, it's so weird because it's HUK, right? You're like, whoa, this is not researching Blink? What?
Yeah. I think any other game he would be. If he's allowed to get to it, he will.
Alright, well, we get some Immortals coming out here. This push could potentially be very dangerous. Phog is getting speed out now, but it's worth noting, HUK did have to burn a lot of force fields early on. These sentries normally sit at home until they've got full energy, then you push with 6. This is only 5, and they don't have full energy, not by any stretch of the imagination. So, force fields are going to be somewhat limited. Engagement areas are going to be very important here for HUK. I guess the same token...
Got to make sure that Samoshik Core is with him, because every time he does this push out, he really has no idea what Phog is doing. I don't think he has an observer out.
No, where's the Mothership Core?
It's with his army though, so he doesn't know like what's going on in Phog's base. Like we know the Hydrogen is on the way, and the Hydras are on the way. So HUK, he would love to know that, because Hydras can be pretty good against this if there's enough of them.
And there's no pylon on the front lines either, no warp prism, there's no immediate reinforcements. So this is kind of just a big attack that's meant to do a lot of damage. Recall if it gets dangerous, but if he loses that Mothership Core, this could be game for HUK. He's got to be very careful. Phog, guys, don't make any mistake. Like, he doesn't have a great composition to deal with this currently, but he's about to. And the numbers, not quite there, but soon to be. So for HUK, he's very limited on what he can do here.
That's funny. That's like the Entomb ability that never happened.
It is, and it's kind of BM looking at it. It's hilarious, actually.
That's such a... I don't want to call it a waste, because obviously HUK is no longer committing to this attack.
Well, he's
actually...
a lot
of Sentry energy.
He has legit stopped mining, though, for like a minute with all those force fields, so... I mean, whether it was worthwhile or not, someone's going to have to crunch the numbers. I'm not smart enough to do math for that, but still kind of cool to see it used like that.
Yeah, he's getting something from pushing out there. Like I said, I would have been really surprised if he really entirely dedicated to it. There was no proxy pylon, so that gives you the first hint that he's not going to do that. But also, just like it was too risky. Like Phog could have been powering up his entire army, not joining it all or something.
Backing up a moment here before a fight starts up. I just want to give you a high five because normally I'm the guy pulling like those insane beta references out of his back pocket. You going for the Entombed? I'm proud of you, Zombie Grub.
You're welcome, I guess.
I still want Rippers, though. I'm really sad that those never made it live.
What?
Terran Ripper? There's like a Widowmine on crack. It's like...
Oh, is that what it was called? I thought it was called something else.
I'm pretty sure it's called the Ripper. I could be mistaken on that. But, yeah, the thing that would just, like, shred everything nearby.
It's the Shredder.
Was it Shredder? I thought it was a Ripper. Whatever. Rest in peace, sir. There you go. Because it killed everything.
Terran Shredder. Yeah. I was like, you're just so funny. You use the actual word, you don't know what it is. But yeah, that was overpowered, and
well, it was only alive for like, it didn't even make it to like concept. I mean,
no, it didn't even make it to like play. Like no one knew if it was really overpowered, but it just looks really overpowered.
All right, well, guys, Unit County Station right now: 4 Immortals, 10 Sentries, 9 Stalkers. This is a great looking army for HUK, but Phog's army supply is out of control. 180 total supply, 28 Roaches, 18 Hydralisks. The links here are just simply for buffer, of course, but. There's one Colossus. Normally you're like, oh boy, I wish he had Vipers for this attack. There's no Corruptors, he's in trouble. But coming in from 2 angles, this is looking pretty good for Phog.
Well, the force fields are what's really important, and most of his sentries have regained all that energy that was used on the foe and tome ability, and now he uses them pretty well. Yeah, he cuts off the entire south portion. The north portion is kind of left to die if it tries to attack.
Alright, well, this segments the army up pretty well. Third base getting just totaled behind this.
Yeah.
For Phog, if he gets the Nexus and disengages with the south, that might be his best bet. I don't think he's done enough damage to go back towards hitting the army. Granted, a lot of the sentries are gone now, but there's no way to deal with the double Colossus.
Yeah, if there was any way for HUK to hold that with his third intact, it would have been another round of force fields in the southern portion. But he used them in the northern portion. There's like 4 force fields used over there, and while he got the army that was up there, I'm not sure if it was entirely worth it. Like, I don't know, that was a hard call, and of course he was always going to be down in army supply, and without 2 Colossus immediately off the bat, it was always going to be a hard hold. But loses his third, Phog loses some army. Phog not in the greatest economy by himself either. The gold is starting to mine out. He hasn't gotten a 4th just now. I think HUK's still okay.
Well, Blink has been started. Those level 3 weapons are nearing completion here. This is more of what I'm used to seeing on HUK. Problem is for him, though, Phog, you know, he was choked out a little bit in the early game. That gold base kind of gave him the accelerated economy to make up for this. If he didn't have a third base as this gold base mines out, I would say actually Phog would probably die, just a lack of any sort of income. He celebrated this this overly hyped up, I guess, gold income for the last like 10 minutes of the game, but that's about to expire here. These patches are going down.
Yeah. Yeah, and even with that little boost in economy, was still off of 3 bases. Roach Hydra off of 3 bases really doesn't have that re-max power. I mean, he does re-max, but it's gonna be like, it's like 2.5 punches, pretty much. The first 2 punches are okay, and then after that, the Roach Hydra just starts to really lose out its power, and that's when you start thinking about Vipers, and of course, maybe a Spire. He goes for the Spire here, as well as Corruptors, and while that doesn't, you know, they don't get hard countered by feedbacks, as Vipers do, it's like an older style to do with Colossus, Roach Hydra Corruptor.
I mean, the Corruptors are kind of the kamikaze go in and try to win move, but there's so many Stalkers. There's so, like, the mobility with the blink kicking in too. It's going to be so difficult to deal with the Stalkers before they can even just kind of go in for those Colossus. Not to mention with a couple Archons mixed in, Corruptors are very notorious for clumping up.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, they seem just like so much more buff than Vipers. Like, you can really do a whole lot with them, but generally we see them trying to be suicided in to kill the Colossus, and then
I like
either die or their damage.
A couple Link sacrifice here, not to kill a lot, but what they do is buy a lot of time. HUK comes back to his base once again, and Phog, well, he's going to actually have those Corruptors out now at a pretty good count. I think the biggest problem with Corruptors, though, well, not only are they ugly, Jesus, I've never zoomed in on them before, they also tend to be overmade, you know? You never really know that, like, 11's going to be that perfect number, but if you make 20, then suddenly you've got so much dead army supply.
Yeah, this is such a scary army from HUK. I mean, the Blink Stalkers are going to be able to, with good control.
He just pulled the drones out of the gold, too, so he can actually sacrifice that base.
Yeah, that was well timed. Upgrades also are about to finish for Phog. He's on 1-1 versus the +2. The +1 attack not quite done. Could really help out here. The Corruptor's taking out the Colossus.
This is such a good position for HUK, though. The Hydras can't really connect much without the necessity of force fields. The Corruptors are doing a lot of damage to the Colossus, but the Immortals and the Stalkers are handling it on the ground. Phog is remaxing very quickly, but he doesn't have much of a bank. His gas is kind of dwindled and his minerals are going out, so he might deal with wave 1. Hell, can he deal with wave 2? But there's not going to be a really big wave 3 for HUK to have to chew through.
No proxy pylon. Again, like usually that means he's not going to dedicate a lot to it, but this time I think it was just a mistake. He's warping in from his natural.
Oh no, what are these Immortals doing on the left side?
Dying.
Stop, he gets drunk, go home. On the right side too, same deal. HUK just constantly exposing 2 Immortals to save the other 2, but
he's running out of time here. Like, Phog is gonna collapse in on him with better reinforcements.
He can blink out if he needs to. It gets really scary. Drones are pulled into this though. For Phog, I think he's a little bit more scared than HUK is, because for HUK, okay, he lost the sentries, he lost the Immortals, but that means he doesn't have to focus on keeping them alive. He can actually just dedicate to blinking around and harassing.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds silly to phrase it like that, but that's the truth with Blink Stalkers.
That's what he starts to do as well, warping in nothing but more Blink Stalkers, getting a couple, getting Storm and Colossus, but, no more Immortals, not a lot more Zealots or Sentries. Blinks these back one by one to try and get as much damage done, but now HUK is relying on mostly a Gateway army, and Phog still has enough Hydralisks for it to be really scary.
Right, but hang on, before we get too focused on that, look at Phog's upgrades, though. He's still stuck on 1-1. I mean, if he was on 2-2, hell, if it was 3-3 especially, like, I would say Phog crushes the Gateway Force out of HUK. But level 3 Blink Stalkers, like, with weapons, against basically unarmored units with only 1 upgrade, even the Hydralisks are going to get taken down here. Well, unless this happens. Run!
Yeah, that's still not that plentiful. I mean, HUK's not maxed out, and he's not maxed out with just Blink Stalkers either. He's waiting on the Corruptor, or Colossus, rather. So, I don't know, I think Phog is still pretty good, even with the less, the lower upgrades, which I think he could have definitely invested into earlier. He was making quite a lot. That's going to be a mistake that may haunt him. He's going to be able to cancel his 4th.
Alright, well, Phog is absolutely going to force a cancel here in the 4th. HUK just simply doesn't have the forces, although he's got some storms. Yeah, this could look really bad. The Colossus getting involved once again, but there's not enough Corruptors to suicide into them. Phog realizes it's a little too late.
Storms go exactly on the Hydralisk with the Blink Stalkers helping out, and of course they're not able to retreat.
This is so one-sided right now.
Yeah, Phog just saw an opportunity and it ended up being a trap.
Yeah, GG. Alright, HUK will even up the series now 1-1. And game number 2 will go to our Evil Geniuses Protoss player. I'm liking this, though. That's 2 ace matches back-to-back to start the day off. This is what I'm talking about. This is why I was looking forward to Group D so much, guys. You know, you could call it a group of death or whatever you want. I mean, let's be honest, this is North American, right? But, I mean, all jokes aside, truthfully, there's not only really good talent in Group D, but it's all pretty well matched, and I think that's what matters the most. Because I gotta be honest, sometimes I'd rather watch 2, like, I don't know, bronze leaguers who are at the same play level than watch Jaedong play against a bronze leaguer, right? You're like, okay, great, Jaedong stomped him. Everyone saw that coming. But when you get players like this who are all grandmasters, who are all around the same sort of skill level, some slightly better than others, some worse, slightly worse, whatever, this is when you get the really good games, and it's being exhibited right now. So we'll get game number 3 up here in just a moment as soon as the admins start hosting it up and getting ready to rock and roll. But I'm totally content with the game 3 coming down once again. And the winner of this game, not just this match, but this best of 3, but the winner of this game goes on to fight against Cats in the winner's match to see which of these 2 players will go out alive. So Cats versus whoever wins this game, guys. The map is going to be King Sejong Station. God, I'm so sick of King Sejong Station. It's the best freaking map, but it's all anybody picks.
Good.
This and Overgrowth, dude. I think when we cast the when I was casting Red Bull this week with Namshar, these were literally the only 2 maps we got to cast. There was never a third one. It's like, oh, this goes to game 3. Let's just go back to Habit or Overgrowth. Like,
no non-Zerg is gonna choose Way Station or Alterzine, or sometimes even Frost. Like Terrans don't really like Frost anymore, even on horizontal spawns.
Unless you're the Muslim. All right, guys. Map intro coming at you. See you in a sec. Alright, welcome back. Here we are in game number 3. Wrapping it up now. One of these 2 players will go out and fight against Cats. Whoever wins this game will determine that. But this is Group D action for Copa America. Copa America, woo! I'm Rifkin, joined tonight by Zombie Grub. And spawning here in the top right corner of the map, he's the pink Zerg player from IVD Gaming, Phog.
In the bottom right, as the orange Protoss, it is Evil Genius's HUK.
Do you think you can... You know what? This was a really bad pun. And as soon as I said it in my head, I was like, it's not even worth it. So, redacted! Redacted. You're welcome, everybody. Okay, so HUK... Does it get more awkward than that? HUK had a pretty good game last time. I think a lot of the engagements that he took were definitely benefited greatly by the terrain of Habitation Station. But every game so far, a bit of a cannon opener, and this game looks to be no different.
Okay, well, I mean, there's one difference in that he's finally showing it in an obvious place. Like, he's actually putting it at the front. You know, before he's always put it in his main, either before or after his gateway.
Well, this, I actually like that a lot. Not because of hiding it or whatever. I think at this point, he's realized that Phog's caught on is going to be cannons. But this map has a horrible choke at the front. It's very awkward. This one little space next to the geyser makes it impossible to do it like a small wall here either. So by starting it off early, it guarantees that it'll actually have the wall down for later on.
Yeah, that was one thing that was a little dangerous about it. I mean, that first game, it wasn't because he didn't have a wall, but...
No, but I mean, it's part of it, right? I mean, every Protoss in the world, they know how to wall, they know how to SimCity, and it's usually the greatest defense, more so than cannons, just having that that physical blocker.
Yeah. Now, HUK's probe does go in here and saw that the hatchery was pretty late, so, you know, there was probably a 15 pool, so it looks like he's not even going to try and cannon rush, especially with that probe getting down so low already. And just throws out a Nexus in his gateways.
That's kind of the nice thing about going for the Forge Fast Expand, though. I mean, well, definitely the Fast Expand a little bit better money-wise. It's the difference of the fact that you can just simply do what HUK has done. Like, okay, the cannons don't work. Well, I didn't screw myself out like 11 racks or something, right? Like, you don't cut probes. You're just a little bit of minerals floating, you're good to go. So he'll make up for any sort of drone deficit, probe deficit here. It's only by 2. Actually, he's got a lead. I take that back. Through I was gonna say chrono boosting like crazy through 2 Nexus, quickly gonna saturate both these bases. And I would, you know, I'd really like to see a Stargate come down, but I don't know. It's not really HUK's MO.
7 gateways, I'm telling you. As much as the people gave grief, and the guy who gave him the most grief actually recently retired from the Team Liquid writing staff, about his gateway all-ins. It was because of, I think, the GSO run that he had at one point where it seemed like he was coming back, and then his only build against a Zerg player was, like, gateway all-ins. It was a disappointing day for foreigners in Korea, but that was, like, so long ago. Like, HUK's really improved as a you know, a player, and, like, gotten, I think, more confident in versus Zerg, and of course it was Wings of Liberty, so... But that's what he's most known for, and it's like sticking with him forever.
Well, the Gateway, the Cyber Core are done. He's getting his Zelda out already, and of course that Warp Gate starts right away. We'll see if the Mothership Core does what it's been doing so far, and that's when it comes out, scout, more than do much else. I mean, I like the potential of doing it. There's always a chance that maybe you have to burn a recall, unlikely, but you can sometimes get a drone or 2 for free with the Mothership Core back away, especially being able to use it and abuse the terrain like it is right now for the natural base.
Yep. Oh, we only have +1 on the way so far. No decision on what to make. His pylon... Oh, never mind. Forces another one out.
You know, actually, hang on. Backing up a sec before we get too far into this. It's interesting because a lot of the way we know Zerg to be, you hear everybody talk about being a reactive race. They have to respond to what the Protoss player does, etc. But I feel like with combination of the availability of swarm hosts and the fact that this is King Sejong Station, which is a good map for those swarm hosts, this is one of the times where if Phog was willing, he could really take the game into his own hands.
We got a Zealot poking around here, trying to get another drone kill. Only got 1, and now we're playing Ringer on the Rosie. Awesome. It gets cleaned up, but that was a good scout for HUK, honestly. You know, I saw that if the third was up, and of course the third was also being droned up, so no, like, surprise 8 roaches, something weird like that is happening. And his probe also gets over there without the Link scouting it, you know, so it's good there. It's gonna have a proxy pylon. There are 3 gateways on the way, bringing it up to a total of 4.
I like 4.
Gonna be,
I think 4 is a good number. I mean, this opens the potential to do bed for ass if you want, but it's also kind of just, you need the production to be defensive.
Well, I you know, it's really going to be to try and take down this third, or deal a lot of damage.
Yeah, I get the pylon.
Well,
up.
actually, he immediately throws down a Twilight Council, so...
I think that's just going to be +2 weapons again, though, honestly.
Well, you're right, it is. It's exactly what it is.
But the thing that's so funny is, like, this is the first proxy pylon we've had in, like, 2 games. HUK
Yeah,
has not been investing in these up to
That
this
wasn't
point.
because of cannons, yeah. Alright, so the Twilight Council gets thrown down, but now he starts warping in all of the Zealots, and he might wait for another warp in, a total of 8 Zealots, to really surprise his opponents, but Phog isn't playing especially greedy. You know, he got the Roach Warren at a typical time, he got 5, you know, cautionary Roaches, now going up to 10, I think he knows something's going on.
This is gonna suck. This is a lot of Zealots to deal with, and even if he has those Roaches out, slow Roaches, if they get chased off of creep, Zealots can still kick their ass, but that's a big if.
Is HUK gonna wait for a 3rd warp in?
I think he was waiting for the
that's a lot of dedication.
I think it was because he needs the time warp for the Roaches, of course.
Yeah, you're right. So they're trying to connect with the Roaches, but there's so many out, and you know, he wasn't joining at any point in the last minute. I don't think it's gonna do a whole lot.
He does segment a couple off though, so while the Roaches are busy dealing with these Zealots, that winter line is getting worked on.
That's true. It's very true. He's not pulling his drones, he's not stacking the drones, and he's lost quite a few because of it.
If you'd been able to sneak a swipe in on that Queen, the Mothership Core could have finished that off, and then actually would have been able to rain hell from above. But the nice thing for HUK, guys, well, that attack sucked, and he really didn't get a lot for it. 8 workers killed, not too bad, I guess, but not great either. He was able to get a 3rd behind this. He only dedicated minerals. There wasn't sentries for that push. There wasn't a stalker. There was no immortals. And he sees this huge Roach counterattack. He doesn't have immortal capability out yet, though. He's throwing down extra gateways kind of out of, I'd say, almost desperation, this feels like. We got Blink finish up in a moment's time, but what good is Blink if you only got 3 stalkers to blink in the first place?
Right, yeah, exactly. HUK is, you know, known for being, you know, he likes his gateways, and he likes playing that style that relies a lot heavier on those gateways most of the time. So, I mean, eventually these gateways will become more, you know, useful, but they're not going to be useful in time to save this 3rd. He's got to cancel it.
I think letting it go for as long as possible is probably a good idea. Buy himself that little bit of extra time. I mean, every second counts. Every chrono is going to be such a big deal here. And this is going to get canceled. There we go. Nice.
Yeah. Had to. Didn't have nearly enough gateway units. Mothership Core trying to get free damage, but it just really what it's seeing is that there's just a lot of freaking roaches.
It needs to get closer to like an overcharge. Actually, is what it really needs to do. Time warp's not going to be that big of a deal here, but an overcharge certainly will be. Roaches going to be able. Well, if you focus the Cyber Core down, that can be really dangerous. That means no more Stalkers to defend with. But the Force Fields are good so far. He's holding strong. He's only lost but a Forge. I wasn't really using it too much as those level 2 weapon upgrades. I actually got shut down, so that kind of sucks.
Yeah, they got shut down. He was purposely trying to save that. I mean, you get 2 Force Fields to save a Forge from Lings, obviously, so the melee doesn't hit it. But then he wanted 2 more to try and get the attack, like the range attack to hit it. I don't think that would ever work, but you could see that he really wanted to try and save it.
I thought those had finished for some reason in my mind, so that Force Snipe, yeah, you're right, that actually ends up being a pretty big deal. For HUK, of course, you know, level 1 weapon Blink Stalkers, hell, even level 2 weapon Blink Stalkers. Not that big of a threat, guys. It's level 3 when they get that just right amount of damage where they can start one-shotting just about everything in the game with a volley. So, the Immortal Sentry, the Blink Stalkers, I mean, he's going to have to push, I think. I don't know. He's sitting at the 3rd, but I don't think he's going to try and take another base. Not anytime soon.
Well, he can't. Phog is not letting up on this aggression. He did get Aspire, but he's not transitioning into it. He sees an opportunity here to just do something with it, just roaches and some wings.
Oh, he burns that blink though, so now it's on cooldown. This gets stuck. A little bit scary there for a moment, but
Force Fields are always scary.
Yeah. We got some Mutalisks coming out behind this though, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
This is a weird thing to make into Blink Stalkers, but this is a situation, guys, where Phog's able to constantly draw the Stalkers to the front of the base with the Roaches and the Lings. Then the Mutas go towards the main. The Mutas come in from the back end, and they start doing that nice harass that they're kind of geared towards. There's a lot of times, too, where you will just mass Mutas. I mean, there's 13 coming out, great. You go up towards 30, uh-oh, suddenly Stalkers aren't even enough.
Yeah, I think it's also really important that he has denied that 3rd for so long. We have seen some players, you know, Todd especially, deal with the Muta style perfectly fine with only Blink Stalkers for the most part, like only a few Archons. And then even then they came later. He was aggressive enough that the Mutas could never just sit in the main base and kill everything. And he always had just enough to defend the head-on engagements.
You know what, though? We got to draw attention to the fact that HUK's overall supply is just in the gutter right now. I mean, his army supply is not too bad,
but... This is the problem, is that he just hasn't had a good starting off point, so he's still trying to catch up in that regard, and now he has to deal with a secondary tech that is really just hard to deal with, even when you're in the perfect position.
Yeah, he'll snipe off 1 or 2 Mutas with these attacks, but the Dark Shrine coming down right now, I like this for a multitude of reasons, guys. You look around the bases, there are no Spore Crawlers. There's 5, 6 Spine Crawlers, but no actual detection. On top of this, Archons will be fantastic against catching Mutalisks. There's not a single Zerg player I know who says, oh, there's Archons, let's go attack them with the Mutas, and let's definitely stack those up at the same time.
I like the DTs more because no one really uses Storms. Storms aren't useful against Mutas anymore since the regen buff and, well, kind of the acceleration buff as well. Hey, Mutas, what you doing? Hey, Mutas. Hey, Mutas. Alright then. Alright then.
Phog is going to lose.
Lucky break for HUK right there. Oh, he lost his 3rd.
He loses his 3rd, but I think catching the Mutas almost makes that worthwhile, though. Keeping those numbers low.
As well.
Like the thing
and look how much damage he's doing to the Roaches.
Absolutely, exactly. I mean, he's going to eventually maybe lose this fight. Now here comes Stalker's trying to get involved, but I think losing those Mutalisks was the worst part. Like, getting a base is nice, but Mutalisks are so expensive. You can't, there's very rare situations where you can be like, okay, you know what, I got 30,000 minerals, 30,000 gas, let's just max out on Mutas. Like, that rarely is ever going to happen. Stalker's going to catch so many of these on the return, that's why they're called Stalkers, guys. Chasing this down, and Phog, granted, he's got some Hydras coming up behind this, but I don't know. HUK is in a pretty good spot now. He was really down in supply. He's got to get that 3rd base up, though. At this point, playing off 2 bases for too much longer is just going to time him out of the game.
Yeah, I don't like. He's not going to be able to take down all the bases in time, you know, before the reinforcements come. And I think seeing the Hydralisk, he now realizes that has to get that 3rd. I mean, there's really no way he ends this game just on 2 bases. At least I think so. Yeah. No.
I mean, okay, so the Hydras don't have groove spines. That's actually going to be really bad for this fight. I thought they had groove spines behind this with level 2 upgrades. I mean, that would have been fantastic. But HUK actually finds a time where, for a few moments at least, these force fields are going to be extra strength powerful. A lot of the times, the Hydras can barely reach over those force fields, guys. But without that 1 extra range, it's going to be pretty much impossible.
Yeah. I believe the... Oh, actually, the Dark Friend did not go down, so he still has the ability to warp in DTs, although, of course, it has been scouted. You can still get a surprise ETs in there. Oh, he's going to get sandwiched.
He loses the Mothership Core. No recall out of this. This is a fight for your life situation for HUK. Now, it goes down to the south. Looks like he should be able to win this fight, but to the north, he keeps giving up space, yielding units here and there, but I think he's still looking good. The problem is, though, Phog is able to remax a real fast rate, so as we see, the army supply, the overall supply catches up very quickly, despite those losses.
Yeah, yeah. You know, he kind of evened it out with the Muta kills and the Roach kills, but I think, dedicating yourself to that by going up to that high ground with no recall, not the right move. He just went back to being just as bad as he was before that Muta loss.
Well, hang on. It's not like he went up that without the recall. The Mothership Core got sniped in the middle of a fight.
Well,
so.
You had to be so careful, though, and he really wasn't. He was off to one side of his Immortals, and yeah, I mean, like...
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I think he saw... He probably thought that he had an army that would even contend, and realized that it didn't quite. The only reason he didn't lose his entire army, I feel, is because speed on the Hydras wasn't finished, so the two armies wouldn't, like, collapse on the Protoss army. It was kind of like a awkward, like, okay, I guess we'll give up and go home, the Hydra, let's say, and that's what they did. But there's still such a huge supply difference.
Alright, well, one of the big things, too, resources lost at this point, guys. This is part of why HUK is in the position he's in. I mean, despite the supply deficit, he's been taking really good engagements. That resources loss count reflecting that pretty nicely. Storm's about to finish up, so for the first time, he'll actually have some AoE to throw into this fight. And while Hydras and Lings are nice, Storms are better.
Yeah, yeah. You know, if he was focusing just on Mutalists, just CTs might have been okay, because you're just using them for Archons, not Storms, but he went back on a Roach Hydra. You need some type of splash to deal with it. You just do. Like, relying on completely gateway units is just really hard to do. And we'll have to see if he can hold again. So far, his holds have been just barely enough, but Phog banks so much, has 4 bases, has good upgrades this time. Good surround, too.
The terrain's going to actually play against Phog pretty hardcore here, though. He can't actually reach you with those Hydras. Forceful's on the right side, probably going to go down as he fights on the left, or vice versa, but there's those storms finally coming into effect. A couple go off on nothing at all, but this Nexus should hold, and HUK should take this fight.
Maybe. Those last few storms really started to damage the Hydralists. They're not quite dying yet, and that engagement went from okay to definitely favoring Phog. He just has the money.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, the fight did not go for him, but the remax will. 22 Lings, 17 Hydras, 19 Roaches. I mean, HUK just can't keep up with those numbers.
No. Chases down the last few Hydralisk at least. I mean, he loses 1 Stalker for like 4.
They lost like 3.
2 Stalker. Okay, whatever. But he tried right there, trying to get every little edge that he can. And Phog is on 4 bases. You know, they start on 3 bases. They try and do 2 attacks. They start to die a little. Well, this guy had a 4th. But still, like, only on 4 bases, if you keep attacking and they just barely keep holding on, your composition can get worse and worse. Although HUK isn't getting Colossus, so I don't know if that's really true here.
I like the Archons, though. I mean, these aren't Storms, but they're going to be quite nice coming to this next fight. Because
if they can connect.
Well, that's the thing. There's been no charge in these Zealots, so the buffer hasn't really been there. The Archons with their superior HP pool is going to be that buffer that's been kind of lacking. But there's no... That's the other problem, too. There's nothing behind that buffer at the same time. But you always need that wall. That's why Roaches are so important to Zerg players, and that's why Zealots and Archons so important to Protoss. Coming here on the left side, though, if he can clean up the left side fast enough, he'll definitely take the fight in the north. But sandwiched between 2 fights once again, there's enough energy for... No, actually almost enough for a Time Warp, almost enough for Photon Overcharge. But as he drives the force back here on the left, Phog keeps...
hard, and he's getting so close, but it's just too much. Sipping down below 100 supply. It's gonna be it, probably.
This is... I don't think it's that bad. Like, there's 1 DT, this is what's bugging me here. Hold position. Unable to move further because of the spine crawlers. Counterattack was always a potential, but nothing that really happened behind this. HUK, I would say DT's defensively. Actually, he did get one in finally to start shelling away this. There's been no overseers on this half of the map.
Yeah, I just realized that. Like, he could have had a couple of DTs in, you know, that last engagement right there and probably gotten a lot of free Hydra kills. Didn't think of it, though. You know, that was probably just it. You know, figured there was an overseer. So that might have been something to save him a little bit. But.
I still feel, though, like, for Phog, he's got 2 bases mining. HUK's kind of on 1.5. If HUK can keep trading, I mean, the resources lost still looking so much better for HUK. If he can keep, right? Like, if this comes down to a level of starvation, I think HUK could actually win it. But Phog just needs to simply expand behind this. He doesn't have to dedicate to this killing blow.
Yeah.
But I think he will killing blow this time finally.
Yeah, finally. That was This was the last one in GG.
All right, well played there out of Phog. He'll actually walk out of this group 2, or not, I keep saying that, this series 2-1, where now he'll go on for a chance to contend for the group slot. This will be another ZVZ coming up in a moment's time. I believe it. I'm not sure if we do a winners or losers match first. If it's the winners match, it's Phog versus Cats. If it's the losers match, it's HUK versus Shakti.